All right, today we're going to look at how to make a Google site. I am not an expert on making a Google site, but the great thing about Google Sites is you don't really have to be an expert to be able to make it. Um, so this unit, one of the things we're going to be doing is you're going to be using a Google site to basically show me what you're learning, and you're turning in your work on the Google site. So you're going to have a number of tasks over the next couple of weeks, and this is where you're going to be putting everything. So it's essential that you know how to do this. So to begin with, kind of today, we want to get the thing up and going. You're going to go to your Google Drive, again, your little waffle that you got up here, and you go to your Google, and then you're clicking on New. A lot of things we use that are pretty common are here. Google Sites is not, so you're going to have to go down here to the little More button. And then we're going to go up here to where it says Google Sites, and we click, and we magically get a Google site. I'm going to move myself down over here. So when you're building your site, I'm going to just kind of show you some of the basics of what you need on here. Effectively, what we're doing is building a web page using Google. It's pretty basic. It allows us to put in everything that we need to be able to put in. Initially, we've got our title page right here. With this unit, we probably just want to call it something like Newton's Laws. You got a little place up here where you can enter your site name. This would be a good place probably to put your name. And notice I think it pops up here and starts giving your name your file a name. So it's one of the first things we've got. Additionally, just with each of these pages, it's pretty user friendly. If you're used to using Google, it's very Google-ish. So what we're going to do is when we add content, we're going to come over here and use these content blocks. You can see over here at the top of the right-hand side, you've got an insert button. You've got pages, which we'll get to in a minute. You've got themes, which just changes your look if you want to make it look a little bit differently. But I'm just going to show you the main thing about how to get your content in, because that's, to me, the most important part. So most of what we're going to end up doing is using these content blocks. Again, I'm going to ask you to insert some videos or pictures, or type in your own information. Eventually, you'll be asked to put in some documents. Like if we do an assignment, I'm going to ask you to put the document in here. One of the easiest ways for us to do it is you can just click on this button that says content block. Each of these kind of gives you a different layout. There's no need to go crazy. If you click on the first one, notice you've got some options over here. So you've got a place where you can add images, videos, number of different things, and I'll show you how to do those in just a second. And then on this side, you can click edit text. So you've got a heading. So if you wanted to tell me what this was all about, and then you can do your typing down here, it makes it and goes a little bit bigger. One of the things that we'll be doing today is, or throughout this unit, is inserting images that you've saved to your drive. And so an example of how to do that would be to click on this button. You just go to Drive. Your Google Drive is going to pop up over here on the right-hand side. And, depending on what you've got, sometimes it might be hard to find. That's why I'm going to have another video just kind of showing you how to save things. It would be helpful if you made your own little folder for this unit so that anything you save goes in that folder. It makes it a whole lot easier to find. Otherwise, you need to use the search key. I did this image a minute ago, and we're going to just insert this book. So I click on it, and in it goes. And then if I want to give it a title, and if I gave you an assignment to discuss for some reason, this is where you could just type in your information and put it in there as you normally would. Now, as you type things in here, you can edit this info or this stuff just like you would on a normal Google document. You can change your text, your font, how big it is, center it, left justify. If you needed to do any of these things that you would normally do in a Google document, you can do them right there as well. Again, if you want to make it bigger, you can make it bigger. If you want to make it smaller, you can make it smaller. If you want to change the layout, you can do that. You can kind of drag it around. So if you wanted to put the image on the right-hand side, you can drag it, put it on the right-hand side. If you want to put it back on the left-hand side, you can put it back on the left-hand side. If you do something like this and you're like, I don't know what I just did, I can't even get it to do it. And you're like, I don't like that. Remember, you've got the undo button up here at the top, so we can always undo. Actually, it didn't undo where it went. For some reason, it just kind of ended it back in the right place. So that's funny. So sometimes you end up with something that you just don't like. And here's one of the things you can always do is hit the delete button and off it goes. So we could insert it again if we wanted to. Another thing we can do is, we'll be doing this a good bit too, is inserting some links from videos. So I'll probably give you the URLs that you can stick in there. And you just put you can search for it, but you can also just put the name in there, select it, and stick it in there, because I'm going to ask you today and tomorrow to start doing a number of videos in here and give me some summaries and answer some questions about them. So we can embed the video in here as well. If you would need to do an additional section, then you can just click on content block again and another one pops up. If you want to organize a little bit, if you scroll down, you can see there's some additional options of things that you can insert. One of them is a divider. So if you just click on the divider button, you can get a little bit of a kind of a break in here to make it a little bit spaced out a little bit or divide it up so you can get your content a little bit different. So down below the content blocks, there's some other options. Again, you won't be necessarily using tons of these. Eventually, when I ask you to insert a Google document or some other things, they may be down here so that you can insert those. All right. One of the other things I'll be asking you to do is to keep this pretty organized. So I don't want this just going on and on and on forever. We're going to have an initial page, and then there's 3 laws. So we're at least going to have 3 sub pages with this. And so here's how we're going to do this. This is kind of an important deal. We're going to come over here and click on pages, and you'll notice we don't have a lot of options compared to insert. So when you click on pages, we have this little plus button down here that if you hit it, then we're going to be able to get a new page. And so maybe we just call this the first law, and it just built a new page. So here's what changed. Up here at the top, we have a home button. This is where we had just been working, but now we have this first law, which is completely blank because it's a new page. Every time you add a new page, it's going to kind of list down here on this side, and it's also going to populate up here. One of the things I would like for you to do to keep it a little bit neater is to make it so that we don't have a ton of things at the upper right-hand corner. We have a drop down, and the way that you get a drop down is pretty simple. You can come over here to where it says first law and drag it back up into the home page, and you'll notice now that we have like a sub page. And probably didn't quite notice it, but now if we go back to our home page, we've got this drop down, and then we can click first law, and it's going to go back to first law. If we need to go back to the home page, we click on the home page. If you added a second law page, it defaults to populating right here. So if we want to continue making it into the drop down, you're going to drag it. Don't drag it to first law, because then you'll have a drop down in the first law, but drag it back to home. And notice now we have kind of a drop down with 2 different laws. I would probably write the word second out just to keep this looking better personally. But that's how we would do that. And then if you need to edit your first law, click on it, go back to insert, start clicking on what you need to click, and put your content in right there the way that you need to have it. So those are our basics. The last couple of things to do is probably going to ask you to share this with me. That would be helpful so that I can look at it and check it, because I need to be able to give you a grade. And then the very last important thing to do is when you're finished with this, you want to hit the publish button. The publish button is what's going to make it actually live and go to the internet and put it on the web. And I need you to do that in order for me to be able to see it and be able to check it. It's going to give you a URL that's going to be down here at the bottom. It published with my name in it because that's what we have up there, but you're welcome to change that. I would actually prefer you to call it something like Newton's Laws. It says it's a great address, but it's already taken. So maybe then I'll add my last name. So if I put Newton Laws with Spellman, you could put Newton Laws with your last name or first name and last name, and that will be helpful. Again, you probably want to make sure that you have that copied somewhere. You should be able to find it pretty easily anytime that you do publish it, so it shouldn't be something that we end up losing. And in terms of who can view the file, you want to make sure that you change this so that I can view it. Right now it might be restricted. I'm not sure as a student if yours it says something different, but you want to make sure that at least it is published with Archer students and staff so that I can see it. If you wanted to, for some reason, share this with someone outside the school, then you need to make it public. and then other people could be able to get to it. So those are the basics. Again, not an expert on this, so we'll probably have some questions when we come along. I'm not actually going to publish this one, but you should. And then anytime you come back and make an edit, when you change something, if you want to update it, you're going to have to hit publish again. So every time you make a new change and you're done for the day, let's go ahead and hit publish, and that will update it. Otherwise, I would not be able to see the changes that you make with that. So hopefully that gets us to a good start. Thanks.